Hi, John Persico here at the Strategy Information Channel. Last week, I talked about paradigm shifting. This week, we will talk about the second of the three major concepts that you need to address for a great strategy. And this second of the two pillars of a great strategy, I call paradigm breaking. Now, paradigm breaking involves the ability to take your existing rules about how things should be done in your organization and basically toss them in the garbage pail. Most companies can't do this and become stuck in what I call paradigm ruts. Now, a paradigm rut can be recognized by a preponderance of organizational messages or symbols such as the Google way or the 3M way, or we want everyone to fit in, part of our HR practices. Another example is a mammoth procedures manual. Some companies have manuals that would take you months to read. Another example is forms for every occasion, more forms and closets full of forms. The mentality, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's also symptomatic of organizations stuck in a paradigm rut. And finally, and this is one that I was very familiar with when I was at W.T. Grant's, we are successful doing it our way, and you've only been here a year, and you're going to tell us a better way of doing things. Those are all indicators that you're in a paradigm rut. Now, some of those thoughts or ideas could be very valid, but they are also a two-edged sword. There is a trade-off between creativity and standardization of processes and ideas. Most organizations do not manage this trade-off very well, and therefore end up in a paradigm rut. Now, the trade-off is that creativity is a random, unfocused, innovative, creative, dynamic process. You don't know where it's going to go. You're not sure where it's going to take you. Standardization means you've got a blueprint, you've got a map, you've got a process, and you're going to follow it to the T. Organizations have to balance this, of course. Sadly, though, most organizations don't do a very good job, as I mentioned. However, most organizations, when they get into these ruts, don't even know they're in a rut, and of course can't identify their ruts. Eventually, they find out they're in a rut when their sales and their revenue fall, and they don't have a clue why. So, how do you avoid a paradigm rut? I'm going to give you a three-part process to accomplish this. The first is to periodically measure the creativity standardization quotient in your organization. One way to do this is measure the ratio of creativity to the degree of standardization that exists. If your standardization quotient is more than twice as high as your creativity quotient, you need to rethink your mix of policies and even how you hire people and why you hire people. Second, do a policy and forms audit at least once a year. Now, I mentioned that many organizations have more forms than they know what to do with. Well, go through and count the number of forms in your organization. And if you can't count them and there's too many to count, then you know you're in a rut. But when you have finished counting them, divide them by the number of personnel in your organization. If your product is greater than 0.10, you need to reduce your forms. Do the same thing for your process, for your policies. Now, finally, conduct a naysayers chronic complainers forum at least once a year. As with any organization, you have people that are complaining all the time, or they don't like how things are done, or they're disgruntled, and you don't want to listen to them. However, sometimes you should. The complainers might just hold the key that is critical to your future success. Thus, I suggest that you conduct a series of focus groups or one large focus group with these people at least once a year. Make sure they understand that it's okay to complain, criticize, or whine about the organization. After you've done these focus groups, capture the information as a form of metadata that can be analyzed by a second group who will objectively evaluate the merits of this data. If you could perform the three steps I noted at least once a year, you will do a much better job of preventing paradigm rut and, in fact, breaking existing paradigms that might be holding your organization back. Well, that's all for this week. Thank you very much for taking the time to tune in. Next week, I will talk about the third pillar of a successful business strategy, and that's how to create new paradigms. If you'd like more information about strategic planning, strategic thinking, strategic development, please call me at 612-310-3803, text me, or email me at persico.john@gmail.com. Be looking forward to talking to you.